Foundation Course Kabbalah, Part 1, Lesson 15, Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. In the previous lesson, I have talked a lot about limitation. Malchut had limited herself. Without limitation, we can't have contact with the higher strength, the only creating strength. Therefore, I have asked to all of you to work on the subject of limitation. Now it is time to add a new aspect, namely pleasure. When there is no pleasure in limitation, the limitation is useless. When you limit yourself, do it with pleasure, always. It's hard to understand with your earthly intellect, but we already know that everything in the spiritual is controversial. How is it possible to unite two extreme poles? There is no unity possible within our earthly understanding, but in the spiritual, it can be done. When one comes to a higher level, we will notice the oneness. In the Kabbalah, we are learning to send and to find in every situation the wholeness, shalom. Through the Kabbalah, we learn how to correct each conflict, not to speak to one's mouth, but to the real unity on a higher level. This is only possible when you feel the pleasure from within, and you have to learn this. I had asked you to limit yourself, and now you feel suffering. You find yourself so sad or lonely, or whatever emotion you may have. Is it possible to come in contact with the higher step in this situation? Absolutely not. This is a rare kind of limitation and won't give you a thing. From within, there has to be a limitation. From the outside, you have your 5 sentences and you have to use them. Keep in mind, we aren't talking in the Kabbalah about a person from flesh and blood or about emotions. Everything is spiritual, even the outer. Let go all the feeling and images of the flesh and blood. The eternal life will exist forever. This is the subject of our study. And the inner being, the inner that is within me, is the one who has to experience joy. You may say, what about all the pictures about Asia? I have to feel joy? This isn't possible. It is inhumane, barbarian, controversial. And of course, when you look at this with your earthly intellect, you're right. All the time we will meet these things, and the intellect will say, no, this isn't possible. It is controversial. It all started with Adam. When Adam met the snake said to Adam, Where are you talking about? Do you really think you may not eat from the tree of knowledge? Look at that tree. How wonderful this tree is. Look at the fruits. Eat. And Adam, with his earthly understanding, he agreed with the snake. When we look to the spiritual by way of our intellect, we will always see the contradiction. The Creator asked Adam to limit himself, but he couldn't do it. It should have been better when Adam had said to the snake, and the snake is our earthly understanding and will stay with us to the last day of our life. It would have been better if Adam had said, I don't understand why the Creator had given to me this task, for not to eat from the tree of knowledge, but I won't do it. I go beyond my understanding. In the Kabbalah, we learn to go every time, again and again, beyond our understanding. It is our intellect. That says each time, again, it is controversial, and you have to know the intellect is right. The snake is right always. We say, taste today, and eventually, or when you know what your goal is, or when you don't have the understanding, always go beyond your understanding. Always limit yourself and always have pleasure. To find pleasure in the limitation, is this possible? First, I was used to go out and have a few drinks, and now you're saying to me, don't go and feel joy in it. When I stay at home, I feel sad. When you feel sad, remember the following. Only the outer being feels sadness. The inner being always has joy. The inner being loves it because the inner being has only 2 things, truth or untruth. And the inner being knows what is true or not true. Only you aren't aware of this. This feeling or level isn't developed within you. Therefore, you have little resistance considering the outer being. And you have to know the outer being is very strong and the inner being isn't yet. Therefore, you have to go beyond your understanding. Say to yourself, I don't understand it yet, but I will do it. And this cost a lot of effort, because it isn't only about saying this with your mouth, but actually doing it. For the doing, you need strength. You need the strength, so it won't be a simple saying. You have to Mean it even when it is hurting you. The pain is from the outer being. Remember this. Only from the inside, your inner will have the joy. We have the feeling we have to do this in a forced way, and actually it is because we have so many variables. Maybe it seems to you I'm talking about something philosophical, but Kabbalah hasn't a thing to do with philosophy. In previous lessons I have talked about the man. In this, we will see the enjoyment. A prayer means I bring myself in agreement with the higher. What is the higher? You know everything is within you. The problem is you don't experience this yet. Each higher step is mine, God. Do remember this. Don't speculate about something different. It will bring you nowhere except a headache. Kabbalah is there for you to help you. Kabbalah is a very practical teaching. What do I mean with joy? Joy is one of the conditions for to go forwards. Joy can be felt from the inner, but how do we experience the joy? Joy is always something what is higher. When you strive in truth for the spiritual, then you will have the feeling that you're uplifting yourself. Or when you pronounce a prayer to the higher, but no, this is only possible with joy. In this, we also see the contradiction. I make a wish or give a prayer, and to give a prayer means there is shortness. It is the same with a wish. When I have a wish, it means I have a shortness. How is it possible to pronounce a prayer with joy, while in reality you have shortness? You have to know, a prayer without joy isn't a prayer. Then you look like a child who's nagging for some sweeties or for a toy. Do you understand? There's nagging and then there's praying. Feel the difference. When you pronounce a prayer, you feel you lack something and you want to have it. You don't have the strength and you ask for it, or you feel the darkness around you and you're asking for enlightenment. Whatever it is you have to do it with joy. When you do it with joy, know this is a sign of sincerity. Never think you are a sad person that is nagging. Joy means you are sincere, and this is very important. Let me give you an example. Suppose you need an operation, and of course you are afraid. It's very understandable, but from deep within you feel joy. How is this possible? See it this way. You're in pain and someone is going to help you. Of course you are afraid, but when the pain is gone, you know you will have joy because you feel much better. It is the same with the spiritual. All the work you do will give you everlasting joy. Therefore, now is the time for limitation. What do you have to limit? Your earthly pleasures. Limit yourself in your earthly pleasures, in the working out of your earthly wishes, to satisfy your earthly wishes, because when you keep yourself busy with earthly wishes, how can there be progression? The limitation is not for the sake of the limitation itself. This is what religions are telling us. You limit your wishes, your family, your ego, but the Creator doesn't want you to break the ego. This is the biggest mistake made in the whole of history. Look, for example, to China. First people were poor and were satisfied with 1 cup of rice, but nowadays they taste the luxury and they love capitalism. They are such a good people, but it isn't in the instruction to make from man a half-hearted person. Now they are awake, now there is concurrence. Every Chinese becomes a person. They are coming out of their group spirit. Every person has to come out of the group spirit because now man is capable to build up the relation, the individual relation, with the only creating strength. But this is only possible when one becomes an individual and has joy. Joy is a very important condition. Only when one has joy, the mud can come down, and this is written in the Zohar. In the Zohar, we see the story about Joseph. First, he was with the Pharaoh, and he was an important minister. He was a chief over the prisoners. Every life was in his hands. He had a very high position, and when the roles were twisted around, he was thrown in prison. And while he was in prison, we see the same phrase. The Creator was with him. When Joseph was an important minister, and when he was in prison, the Creator was with him. When he was successful and when he was in prison, the Creator gave him his said mercy. Joseph was a very special person. He enjoyed living near the Pharaoh, and while he was in prison, it is the same soul, the same attitude to have joy in both conditions. There is no holiness in man only when he is in joy. This is very important. Don't make this mistake, otherwise you limit yourself in a negative way. We're talking about the limitations that are present in the plan of creation. Always stay alert considering time. How sad you may be, you're wasting your time. And when you're sad, to be sad is so useless. Don't be sad or lonely. What does it mean to be lonely? We are reading in the text. A man always has to try to follow the path where he can flow together with the Creator, that all his thoughts will be with him, even when he's in the most horrible situation and he thinks it can be worse. How can man liberate himself from the power of the Creator? Can there be another power? A power that is withholding him from to come to holiness and that has in him the power to do good or evil? Not at all. When we think there is another power beside the Creator, we are so wrong. When you think there's a power that withholds you from doing good deeds and to follow the path of the Creator, you are really mistaken. Know that everything comes from the Creator himself. What does it mean? Man has to choose the path for it to flow together with the Creator. When I first start, what does this mean, coming together? What is the meaning of this for me? Only empty words? You have to know your goal, something you have to strive for. You want something, but you have to know there's only the striving for it to come in unity with the plan of the creation. You always have to strive for it to come in unity with the only creating strength, to unite yourself with His strength. When you have the feeling you lack oneness, then you have something to do. But I'm ignorant about the following together, or the flowing together. I don't know how this feels. How can I experience this? Look at the earthly merging. It can be an example for you. Of course, the earthly merging is something physical, but it is a very good example for the spiritual. The spiritual is far higher and more intense than the earthly merging. To be one, two bodies melting together. In the spiritual, you can have this feeling too, to become one with the only creating strength, although you don't know it yet. What is the only creating strength? It is the higher step. What I'm longing for is the next step. You can see this is a relation to you desire for the next step, and when you have arrived in this step, you feel and see the higher step. Then there will be far more understanding, comprehension, far greater than what you have now. Can you imagine? This is merging. In a way, you are putting yourself. You cleave on the higher step. You will see and feel and understand it is all within you. The Kabbalah is only speaking about the things within you. The Zohar is speaking only about one soul. The experience of one soul. No word about the mass or about a nation, but about one soul. Although he uses the words of our earthly language, and the intellect can't understand this. All these stories and all these actions, how can they be part of one soul? So many words, places, names, like patriarchs, 12 apostles, 12 patriarchs, and it is all spiritual meaning. They are in agreement with each other. No, it is only about the spiritual. About the merging. Merging means I surrender myself to the first step. Surrendering. When you want to have progression, you have to learn about surrendering. Don't be afraid for surrendering. No, we aren't talking about our world. When we say surrendering, we mean to merge together with the higher step. This is surrendering. Don't have thoughts about the earthly merging. You can become a member of a party and merge together with the ideas from that party, or let me give you another example, the Olympic thought, for example. You merge together with a sport, etc. You will receive from the object from the strength of your merging. This is your receiving, and you receive from all the earthly events. But not in the spiritual. Here we have the merging with ourselves. To surrender yourself to yourself. We are speaking about the surrendering of the light shining within you. Within your inner, and with the level of your inner has to be in conformity with the spiritual ladder. This is what we're going to do. It is so easy to surrender yourself to what is within you, easier than an outer surrendering. The only creating strength is in Joseph. I bring myself in conformity with the next step, the next higher level within me. I am bringing myself in conformity with the only creating strength. I can do this when I have the feeling. There's no need for differentiation, only what rises up in your mind. Today, you are the one who know the higher, and this is for every person individual. This is the real merging, that all my thoughts will be with and for Him. We don't talk about emotions. When all your thought are with the only creating strengths, your feelings will follow. When you feel sad, know the feeling can't be changed. We haven't the strength to change the feelings. Feelings are the wishes given to us from above. Don't think a Kabbalist knows what he feels within 5 minutes. This isn't given to anybody. But we can do the following. No matter how you are feeling, man has the power, because that is given to him, to awake himself up for joy, to go to the next step, and to work, and to cleave himself with the higher step. This is the way to come higher. I need strength. Why? Because there is someone else within me who wants to pull me down. Our ego is pulling us downward. Your ego doesn't want this. It is to say, of course, the ego wants it. The ego is there for you to build up the strength so you can attach yourself with the higher. And due to this, you overcome your ego. The battle finds place each day, but each day is different. It is the same process, but higher and higher, never backwards. The laws, everything has to do with the laws, but we don't know the laws yet. This is what we're going to do, to learn the laws and to cleave on them. Each person as an individual has to merge with his own creator. Not with a creator from another person, but with your own creator. It is impossible to connect yourself with the creator of another person. You have to do your own corrections. That what is given to you within your own kelim. Never say, he's in the situation, he can do it, but not me. I'm still weak. Never say this. You are perfect in the way you are. In the eyes of the creator, you are really perfect. Each one of us is perfect, but we have to work, all of us, within our own structure. Remember this. When you understand this very well, you will never envy another person. You will know that it is all about your correction. This is what the higher is asking from you. Each one of us has the possibility and the strength for to do what is given to him. Know the corrections given to you are there for you to correct during 6,000 years, and you can do it. Don't say, I'm too weak. No, it is your ego talking to you. Never say, but it's your ego. Your ego wants to keep you under pressure. He withholds you to think about the goal of creation. In the Torah is written a story about the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh said that other people were lazy. Let me give them extra work. They must work hard so they can't think about themselves. Be aware, is there a difference between that period and the 24 hours economy we have in those days? We are looking for new things, and the concurrence is enormous. Work liberates, the Pharaoh said. Let me keep them under pressure, give them a lot of work to do. But the pressure is from within. As you already know, the Torah doesn't speak a word about our physical world. The Torah doesn't talk about working with our hands and feet. It is our ego that gives you this pressure. It is your ego speaking to you. Keep yourself busy. Work, work, work. There's no difference. Can you see this? When you work harder and harder, you're running away from yourself. You don't have time to think about yourself. What is the sense of life? The taste of life? When you don't think about it yet, when is there the time for to do so? When you think about the taste of life, you can't be sad. When you don't think about the earthly matters, you can't be sad. You become sad because you think about earthly matters. This is very special. To have joy, to feel the joy, without any contradiction, you can't come further. Therefore, start working. Start the work from within. We are all coming from one soul, as if we were structured from one rock, the soul of Adam. The awareness, the consciousness from Adam was tremendous. He could see everything what was in the world. He could oversee the whole plan of creation, the splendor of the plan of creation. Of course, there is sin. This is present in the plan also. The problem is, we had made and still make the sin a little bit too big. Therefore, the way back is so long, but eventually all of us will return. What is the sense of going back to the state of Adam? We have to go back, but now in a very conscious way, and not as we have done in earlier days like a child. The whole history is within us. We have to come through and to unite ourselves in joy. Suppose a person knows already what he has to do according to the plan of the creation. Say, he already knows how the Netherlands will look at the end of the creation plan. When one knows this, he can work about it. He can carry it out. A reaction from above will come. What should become of the Netherlands? In no way livable, no tolerance. That isn't awareness. It is only temporary. There will be a sort of community, a sort of relation as a living Netherlands. Each one of us thinks we are living, but this is an inner thought. We still beneath the level of the real life. The level of life only begins when you can, in truth, love another person. Only when you are sincere that you can really love someone, even for a little bit. Even this small part is a sign you're coming on the level of life, meaning you are working spiritually. When you can love another person, it is a sign you're growing, and the sooner you start with this work, the better. From within, love every person, and it will become the reality. What do I mean with this? Will become reality. Suppose you have a bakery and your neighbor has a grocery. No worries any longer that maybe you go bankrupt. You don't have to keep yourself busy with how to survive. Suppose you become ill and then your neighbors say to you, here are some vegetables, and when you're better there will be a period you can help me. Then you can go sleeping every night without worries and stand up every morning with peace and joy. No worries for tomorrow. It is possible when we stay granted for each other, then no one has to have worries, and the real living can start. Don't think this is a utopia. It is possible when we start working on ourselves. Each one of us has to work on his inner because everyone has to be corrected. There is no jealousy or envy or whatever thought man can have. But for the moment, it is impossible. We are still filled with jealousy, but when we are all corrected, the jealousy will be gone. Then we're capable to be without envy. We will be capable to grant. There is no reason any longer for to feel ourselves better than another person because every person will be corrected. We don't need to feel ourselves better. The flesh will be gone. Only the spiritual is there. Question from a student. Will there be death? The answer of Michael. After 6,000 years, nobody will die. What is death? There will be no more death. Now we are learning what is given to us for us to understand. I can't go further, but I can speak about it a little. These 6,000 years are there for us to correct ourselves, till the coming of the Messiah. Later we will learn more about this, and not the things that we have learned in school. But after the 6,000 year comes, the 7,000 years, and this is a period where everything will be in place. There is no Kabbalist who is talking about this. They even know there will be an 8,000 years, and 9,000, and 10,000 years. And when the 10,000 of corrections are finished, death won't be there anymore. First, there will come an end to all the dead wishes. What does this mean? First, all your wishes will riot, and this is necessary to free yourself from your dead wishes. But it is impossible to talk about this. We can't say a word about this. There's a principle. What you don't experience, don't talk about it. We can't talk about this because we haven't the feeling yet. When we should talk about it. Without the feeling, then there are speculating. As you know already, it is all about your feeling. You have to arouse your feeling. When one comes first to Kabbalah, he thinks he can go fast forwards, but not in the Kabbalah. Kabbalah is about quality. I want you to feel, even for a short moment, that you really feel the gates of heaven are open for you. You don't need to eat the whole bread to have the taste of it. It is enough to eat one slice. When you eat only a slice of bread, you know the taste, and that is enough. It is the same in the spiritual. You don't need to read all the 2,000 pages of tests. It is enough when you have tasted. Perhaps you have the taste for it after reading 100 pages. It isn't difficult. It isn't the intention of the creation to overload us with intellectual business. What is eternal is simple, easy. The genius lies in the simplicity and in the wholeness, because everything what is wholeness is true. You have to know this, and not to talk to someone's mouth. Every inner movement whereby you strive for wholeness and not for diversity, you will go forwards. This is progression according to the plan of creation. Yehuda Ashlag had written Tes, Talmud Eser Sfirot, and he had written many works to make it easier for us so we could come to the understanding. We are in need of his writings. Nobody or maybe one or two persons could come to the understanding, we wouldn't know how to come to salvation. Yehuda Ashlag had made it simple for us so each person should understand. Know that each person can come to the understanding. What you need is honesty and the intention to work for it till the last moment of your life. You have to know the victory is guaranteed. Your own victories, the victory of your ego, and therefore don't destroy your ego. Never. Even when you are in the most awful situation, when you have the feeling it can't be worse, also then you have to strive for the merging with Him and stay in joyfulness. Whatever happens, you have to have joy, and this is very hard. I don't say to you it is easy, but you have to justify. You need to justify the whole control system. Then you will succeed. Justify the control system of the one created strength. When something nasty happens, correct it. You have to cleanse your inner. See it as a learning process, and this only can be done when you justify. What do I mean with justifying? That you feel joy even in the things you dislike. It is possible to liberate oneself from the power of the Creator. This is a rhetorical question. Is it possible to liberate oneself even when one doesn't believe in the one creating strength? You need trust. Suppose you stay faithful, for example, nature. One day you will come to the understanding one way or another. Now you experience disaster till the moment you enter the right path. Then you have become aware. Why shouldn't you choose earlier for the good? Every day, each moment, every situation, you have the choice for to live or to die. Even in the most trivial situations, we have this choice. To choose for life means merging with the only creating strength, meaning to become a grown-up person, spiritual. And with death, I mean that you say, I have my own existence. Beside the Creator, I have my own area. You are separating yourself and know you will lose. We are so afraid to lose, and this is whispered in our ears by our ego. It is your ego saying this to you. Feel for yourself. Don't trust a higher strength. Separate it from you. Separate yourself. This is the ego, and when you listen to the ego, you certainly will lose. You have to merge with the one creating strength, and then you will find yourself. Look at a child. Put a child in a positive surrounding and see how the child blossoms. And when a child is raised up in completely different surrounding, it feels separated. What will become of him? You know, on beforehand it will go wrong. Of course, there is a new chance for him in another generation for it to come to correction. Always take care that you're in a good surrounding. When you are true to your inner, you will blossom. Therefore, it is so important to avoid people who are smoking and are drinking even a little. No, they aren't ready with their inner yet. Their time hasn't come yet, and when you are close to them, you will feel sad too. The danger is so great, you think, okay, it isn't so bad, but before you know, you are behaving like them. You can't limit yourself. You need first the confidence, and confidence has to grow. You feel sad and you start eating and drinking. Take a drink when you're feeling good. When you take a drink when you're feeling good, you can enjoy it. You feel the pleasure. Do you see how simple it can be? Is there another power that hinders you to enter heaven? Often we're acting like this. I haven't the strength. My ego is too strong. I don't have the chance to work myself up. When you're behaving in such a way, know that in such a moment you sin. In this moment you are weakening yourself. In a way, you are giving up considering your ego. Let there never be a giving up considering the ego. When you come to the Kabbalah, you have to work on yourself, and you will notice, I'm not talking about magic. Every moment is a moment of working on yourself. In every situation, you have the choice for to stay alive or to die. When you feel sad, you know you are as dead. Of course, there can be a moment of sadness, but within the sadness, you have to feel a sparkle of joy, because this sparkle is going to help you. This sparkle is the source of life. For me, I can't understand people who are sad. When you feel yourself sad, you are wasting your time. There's no time for sadness. It's a pity. It is your life given to you, and you are still nagging. Do you want to stay a child? When you feel sad, you are for the 100% separated from the Creator. You are separating yourself from the only creating strength. He will never separate himself from us. The quality of our selfishness will be there always. The good is there always, and it is up to us to make ourselves receivable. Look, Each person will have a moment of sadness, a feeling he isn't okay from within. But there are always two conditions, one against the other. This is how the Creator had created the world. When you're feeling sad, don't think, okay, I don't care how I feel myself, because this is cheating on yourself. We will learn in Kabbalah there are two sides. When I'm in the moment of don't feeling okay, then I have to know for 100% certainty that this moment is good for me. This is a sign I have to make changes for it to change this sad situation. This is the moment for it to change it in joy. Why? When I have a sad moment and I know this moment is good for me, meaning in this moment there is someone above me who shows me this condition, someone is showing to me whatever the situation is. It is good for me. When I can do this, I feel satisfaction. And of course, at that moment, I can think, of course, there are two sides always. When you only think about the good things, you are still acting like a child. There are two sides, and I need them to recognize the ego. When I look down, I see severe strength of the ego, and when I look up, I see the only creating strength, and it is me who has to make the choice. Don't think your ego is your worst enemy. The ego also can be acting as a half-hearted person, as the dressed-up inner of the Creator, and I'm very sincere. Look at it this way. The ego has to stay strong to you. How could you otherwise come to wisdom? Do you want to stay a child? Do you still want to be pampered? When you stay as a child, you won't grow. When you think there is a nasty power outside the Creator, a power who is hindering you from to do good things, no, you are very wrong. This you have to know. There is no other strength besides the strength of the Creator. Take this deep in your heart. When you work slowly but steady, and the longer you work on yourself, there comes a time you can't walk away from the spiritual. You can compare this with the learning of a profession. Once you have learned it and you're good in it, is there another wish? It is the same with the spiritual. The more you do this work, you will notice it has become your only wish. You will fall in love with the spiritual. It will be your only love. You can't sleep from joy. All the sad conditions, seemingly sad, the loneliness, you will love it. You will have pleasure in everything, considering yourself and the Creator. Text. And this is what Baal Shem Tov had written. He who says in the world there is another power, an unclear strength, is still in line of them who serve other gods. He is not violating because he has heresy thoughts, but because he's thinking there are other strengths outside the Creator. Tes, Talmud Eser Sferot. No. Before the creation was created and creations were created, the singular high light filled the whole reality. There was no free space in the form of empty air and space. Everything was filled with the singular eternal light. There was neither beginning nor an end. There was only the singular, completely homogenized light. And the name of this endless light is Ein Sof. When you lack something, you can ask for it. You have come to a point it is very important for you to hear, not listening. Slowly, when you continue reading, you will hear because of all what you have read and will read. It is not of myself. I used to be me and me, but not anymore. When you come in contact with the real spiritual, you will notice there will be a change, and this change is marvelous. When you too discover the merging with the Creator, you will experience something what goes beyond your understanding. But for now, we are as children who say, I. But by way of the merging with the Creator, there will be a change. From the moment you really taste the spiritual, you know, your fear will disappear. There is no longer fear to give your opinion. Your earthly thoughts, opinions, ideas, what is the truth for you, will change. This is the real victory. There is no greater challenge and no greater pleasure than the spiritual. Do you know why? The spiritual will never deceive you. In our world, we will be deceived, but not in the real spiritual. Why? Now you're in agreement with the instructor himself, with the maker of everything, and that is wonderful. It is my advice to you to read Tes, Talmud Eser Sferot, very slowly, and not only slowly, but with a very respectful attitude. There are people who say, oh, this is easy, but the manual for the inner purification, that is difficult. Those people are living in an upside-down world. Tess is something you can't understand. Without guidance, there's no person who can come to understanding of Tess. Do you know why? Because we are all making imagines in us. You're looking to your own imagines, and there are no imagines in Tess. Everything is whole and unchangeable. We talk about light, and the light is doing this and that. But in reality, there is no capital movement. In reality, there is no movement. So we talk about light, and the light is doing this and that. But in reality, there is no movement in the light. What does this mean? Slowly I will teach you, and all of us will come to our goal. In a way, it is a very different dimension of the seeing. And all of us will learn to see this new dimension. It has been there from the day you were born. Only have to develop it, and this is great. The text of Ari. The understanding of the spiritual time, the understanding of the spiritual time will be explained very clearly in the inner reflection at the end of the first part of Tess. He doesn't start in the beginning with the spiritual time, but later. This is not the right time for this discussion. 2. So the light was spread out from the essence of the Creator. No, all the names and definitions used in the science of Kabbalah don't speak about the essence of the Creator. They are speaking about the light, what was spread out from His essence. There is not one word about the essence of the Creator, and this reflects the law of what one can't comprehend, it is impossible to be named. Remember this and don't make this mistake. The light filled the singular light, the whole reality. It is the light coming from His essence, and this is singular. Highlight without any coarsening. It is there in its original form. Later there is coarsening, and at the end we see the human being. What is the law we're talking about? We're talking about the Jewish law, and these are the laws of the universe. When you read Jewish law, don't think it is the law of the Jewish people, the people of the flesh and blood. The Jewish laws are the laws of the universe. It has nothing to do with the Jewish people who are neglecting these laws. He who lives according to the laws of the universe, she is a Jew. Of course, the Jewish people have traces in their souls, but as long as they neglect this law, they aren't Jewish. Everything is according to these laws. What I say to you, what you read here is based on these laws, and it has nothing to do with whatever philosophy or earthly understanding. Once you come higher, you will notice everything is one. There are things that aren't easy to explain by the way of Kabbalah, but when you come higher, you always have to go higher. You will come to the unity too, and will not have any longer discrepancy in you. In the end, everything comes to oneness. Let us look at this sentence. What you can't understand, you know nothing about it, it is impossible to give it a name. You have to know, in the Kabbalah, we are not talking just like that. One doesn't speak about things that one hasn't experienced. What is written, a Kabbalist had the experience. The person had reached a certain height, position, and from this point of view he's talking. These were positions or persons who had purified themselves so that they could experience the light. And he who follows and tries to imagine this situation, he who opens this inner self, pronounce a prayer that has a deep longing for it to come to the understanding of what they are saying. He will come, undoubtedly, to the experience. What is the intention of this? Kabbalah says there's no disappearing. What or how is our attitude? What is the change? No, everything is about experience, to come to the feeling of the real spiritual. You're reading this text, but it is not enough. You have to live according to your reading. You have to change your attitude for it to come in confirmation with what you're reading. There's not one word that says to you, become a monk. When you do so, you're only fleeting away from yourself. You have to do what lies in your possibilities, whatever you can do. There will never be the wish from above, and there has never been this wish. You will do something that lies outside your reach. But every moment you have to overwin your ego. They never give you from above things to do you can't do. There is no overtime in the spiritual work. And when you come in this understanding and work hard on yourself, you will be granted the Creator goes away from you. Why? Now you can develop your own strength and climb the hill on your own. and not with the help of the Creator. Noah walked with the Creator. He was walking hand in hand with the Creator. But Abraham walked in front of the Creator. The Creator was walking behind him. Abraham had the strength to walk in front of him. He had power of his own, and he didn't saw the Creator. What does this mean? He had faith beyond his understanding. He wasn't in need of the Creator that he should walk beside him. When the Creator is beside you, you never know how it is to be alone. What we're learning is how to reach the real spiritual. When you read tests and you bring yourself in conformity with it, you will be saved. There's no other Savior. By reading, we are bringing ourselves in conformity with what we are reading, and then the light shines due to the inner agreement. The light only shines to these places that are in conformity with the inner. Think about Röntgen rays. The difference is we are talking about rays, and the spiritual rays are far stronger. These rays are making engravings within you. Within you there is a place. The light is making engravings in this empty place, and these are the places that are in agreement with the light. What next?
Foundation Course Kabbalah.
It is the light making within you certain holes, inner spaces. Space.
12.
What is space?
Rabbi.
You need these spaces so the light can be received and experienced.
Portnaar.
Before you had these spaces, there was no experience.
There is a very important principle.
What is it?
Everything what is simple is
Oneness.
Genius, real
Wholeness.
and true.
Fullness.
When it becomes
Without space, there's
complicated,
no experience.
no, the truth
There
is
only
disguised.
can be experiences
What
in
is
the
true is
spaces that are
simple,
engraved by
easy.
the light. Only there. In other places in
We
suitable.
continue with
They
the
aren't
book of inner
purified by
purification.
the way of the
On
reading.
page 6, we
Your
see the
attitude,
structure of the human being.
etc.
We look
But
at the
engraving
human being
will be
from
done
above to below,
unnoticed.
but it is
Empty
also
places,
possible to
inner
look
space,
from below
and you
to
can go
above.
to such a place and
The
experience
drawing
the
on
wholeness,
page 9
the
shows us the
unchangeable.
structure
Why?
from within to
Within
the
you are
outside.
formed the spaces
What is
by
within
way of the
is
light.
what is
and the
within is
according
higher
level.
with respect
We're
to the
working on the
outer.
conformity between our
We
inner
see an
and
inner
the light.
circle.
Don't
which
have any
is
interest
higher.
for the light outside
What is
yourself.
higher?
Why?
With higher,
The
we
light
mean closer
outside
to the
you
Creator,
isn't
closer
understandable.
to the light,
To
more
have interest
delicate.
in the outer
Lower
light
is
causes
closer to the
you
Malchut. The lower we come, the
going
rougher
to
and
make
further away from the
images.
Creator. Everything
and
what is
there will be
within
no feeling,
is
no
higher,
experience.
closer to
You won't
the goal.
experience the creating strength.
On page
You can
7
come
we
to this
read,
experience only
it
when
is
you
said,
let the light make
there
engravings
is
within
none
you,
else
deeper holes,
beside
in the way the
him.
light wants to do it.
No
Don't
other
think
strength.
you have any
This is a
saying
principle
on
you
this.
have to remember.
You can't say,
Will you
I
progress?
want this or that. How
This
do we know
is something that has to be in your heart.
Due to the person
And
who
when
already
you
came
have
to the
accept
holiness,
this, you are halfway.
He who has received
There
the
is
light
none else
to let the
beside
light make all the engravings the light wanted to
You can know
engrave
everything, but
in
when
all
you lack
time
this
levels.
understanding, this
Thus,
principle,
at the same time,
nothing can help
while
you.
you're reading this,
sentence
slowly
belongs to
open
Yehuda
spaces
Ashlag.
arise in you.
He
And
who is
besides
working on
this, you can
himself,
always go to
he
this
who is
place.
doing the
Suppose
spiritual
you are
work,
in misery.
has the feeling he's
Now
falling
you
down
know
constantly.
which
He
place
feels
to
he
go,
lacks
because
the
within you
strength
there is a place
for his work.
already engraved by the light.
We read,
Don't think the light
and it isn't
can enter
enough.
you without the
He's
engravings.
going forward.
The
in
only
his
thing
work.
you can,
He sees he's
the only
going
thing
backwards,
you have to do is
and
to
he
be
hasn't the
receivable
strengths
for to
to do
receive
the
the
Torah
light. Let the
and
light
the
make engravings
prescriptions
within you.
with the
What are these
intention
engravings?
for himself.
Higher understandings, more comprehension,
Especially when one
more
starts,
comfort,
this is a
all
common
new
feeling.
kind of
These
spiritual
opposites,
pleasure. And you can't
strengths
compare
are
this
fighting
with
within
your
you
earthly pleasure.
for to stay alive.
There is no comparison
In a
this
way,
world
you're
with this
taking
pleasure.
away
Let the light
fertile
engrave
ground
the
for
smallest
ego.
place within you, and you will receive
But
more and more.
it is a mock fight.
Yehuda Ashlag was completely
When you're really
engraved by the
victory,
light. Don't be
your
afraid to be
selfish
engraved
love
by the
will be
light.
gone.
Make yourself receivable.
Lessened,
for
and
the
now
light.
there is no
Therefore,
longer an obstacle for you to come
you have
in
to limit
contact
your
with your
earthly wishes.
Or
The
in
more
other
you
words,
limit
you
your
will
earthly
see
wishes,
more and more
the faster you
your
will
inner
come to the
being,
spiritual.
and you will keep
Instead of the
yourself
earthly wishes,
more and more busy
you
with the inner
receive
and
the
not with the
spiritual,
outer.
the eternal strength.
When we
the
first
true
start, it seems as if
existence.
there is no progress.
But where do I
You
experience
think
this?
there is only descending
In the
and
same
no
kingdom,
progress.
the same inner
And
space where
he
once
doesn't
was your
see
earthly
the
wishes.
end of the situation.
Where once there was trivial things, but now
But
in the same place,
don't have
in
a
this
desire
kingdom,
for
in
the
exact,
end.
this,
Just
exactly the same
continue.
place, you will
You have to
experience
work
pleasure.
and make stronger
First your inner love
belief
to be
beyond your
in a
understanding.
disco, but now
This
your
has
inner
to grow.
will love this
Only
pleasure.
by going
You know,
beyond the knowledge
you
it
have
becomes
to long
possible.
for it.
But this
all
is
the
very
limitations
difficult.
you make for yourself,
We have
in a
to
way,
have
you have
faith.
already tasted.
Only then there is progression.
You had the experience.
We have come to the
Make
awareness
space for the new
only
experience.
the
You already
Creator
had
can help.
experienced earthly pleasures.
This is hard to
Why?
understand. What
Again
we want to understand
and
with
again.
our intellect is difficult. Why?
This is no
we see
there's
the
no disappearing.
contradictions hidden in the spiritual.
You can continue
and
because
with
the
our
experience
intellect,
was
we don't
there. Why
understand
not
them.
invest
Our intellect is the
in the
one who
eternal
says
it
You
is
have to know
this
this.
or that.
You have the
Only
obligation
when we
to
come
do
on
this.
a higher level,
Okay,
we
you
can
can wait
unite
till
them.
another life, but
Good and evil
you
will
have to
be
come to
united
this
on a
point,
higher
so
level.
why not now?
First, one feels
You'll be
misery
the first,
and has the
you don't
feeling
have
he
to
can't
wait
do
for the
anything.
misery that will
And
push
this feeling
you
becomes
for it to
worse.
come to the good.
Wherefrom
All
does
these
this feeling
earthquakes,
come?
tsunamis, they won't be necessarily anymore.
From the
It is
Creator.
because of
It
us
is the
and
Creator
due to
himself
us,
who is
because
sending
most of us
this
are
to you.
unwilling to strive for the
It is
goal.
to say
You have to
only
strive
in
for
your
your
opinion
personal
you
goal.
think
What
you
is
are
your goal?
going down, but
Let it
for
be
the
the
Creator
oneness
himself,
and the flowing
you
together
have
with
to
the
know.
Creator.
He
There
is
is
bringing
nothing
you
else in the
closer
world
to the
that
goal
can
of
help you.
creation.
No technical solution.
Each person
Of
has
course,
to
all the
come to
technique
his deepest disappointment
we have
before he can
nowadays,
stand up
it is
and
wonderful.
see only the
It
Creator
is given to
can
us.
help him.
We don't have to
For every
be
person is
in a way,
necessary,
slaves.
he goes through this process. It makes him stronger. Only
He
then
who is
he
saying
can
that
come
all these
to
technical
the
things,
aspect of faith
as
beyond
computers
the
and
understanding.
televisions
This
are
is the
bad,
true
is
strength.
walking behind. It is the
When
same
one wants
with
to be full of
the
strength,
internet.
he does
No,
do
everything comes from the
on his
Creator,
own.
and please make
Look,
in every
for
thankful
example,
way
to the
use of it.
politician, etc.
The engravings
Creator
we
won't
receive
reveal
are made
himself
by
to
the
them.
light itself,
Why not?
and not, for example,
They
through
are
a
already
t-shirt.
strong.
I
They
can't
don't need
give you
help.
anything.
So why
I
should
don't
the Creator
show you my
interfere with them?
corrections. It isn't necessarily.
The Creator helps
What I show
him
to
who is
you,
weak.
what I'm trying to
In a
do
way,
is to
you
give
have to be weak.
from my
Or
engravings to you
then
to help
the
you.
Creator can
I
help
speak
you.
from these places and not with my ego.
Who else?
Have the same
The
attitude
Creator
while you're
should
reading.
give.
Listen.
Only
Never
to
think it is
them
way
who are
beyond
weak.
your understanding.
Only them
There
he
is no
can
comparison.
give the
Therefore, make
spiritual.
yourself small.
What do I
tiny,
mean with
suitable,
weak?
available.
I mean
it is
weak
all about
from
your
the
measure of
inside,
surrender.
from them who
That is
can
what
make
I
themselves
recommend all
small,
of you,
tiny.
especially
Weak
for
means
them
to make
who are
yourself
working with
as an
their
intermediary.
Of course,
To
you
make
have to
yourself
make
transparent
use
for
of
the
your head,
spiritual.
of your earthly
To make
intellect,
yourself
but try to go a
receivable,
step further.
receptive.
Only then you can develop
Then the
something
spiritual
extra, a new
can and
dimension,
will come to
and
you.
you will notice life has sense. Each
What
day
are you
you
learning?
have to wake up and feel the pleasure of
You learn to make
daily
yourself
grind.
from within
Do what your
small,
feeling says you
for
can
the
do.
only
One
creating
day you
strength,
sleep a
the
little bit
king.
longer, and
Only
the
the
next
weak
day
ones
you're
do
already
need the king.
early awake.
The king
Stand
gives
up.
to them who are
Let
weak.
go of
The same as we see in
dogmatic
our
rules.
material world.
Play with it.
You will receive
Know the
everything as
feeling
long as
given
you
to
stay
isn't
faithful at the
yours.
king.
The feeling
Why is there
of
misery?
you, all the feelings
Because you are feeling
no,
yourself strong,
they
and it is
are
all
whispered
about
in your ears from
to
above.
feel
You can't
yourself
stay
weak from the
in your
inside.
feelings. You
And
have
this
to come
is only
through
possible
for to
when you are
come
in
to the
pain.
spiritual.
This is misery.
We
Real
think this
misery is
feeling
when you
is
hold
ours,
up your hands to
it
the
is-
sky
but that
and
is you.
have the feeling there's no one.
But it is the strength
help
given to you from above.
Of course, to
Each
other
time
persons you
when
are
a
still
feeling
strong,
arises
but
in you,
not if you
slowly
want to
work it
stand
out.
before the
And by
Creator.
reading tests,
Then your
you will
power
come
has
to
to
the
be done.
experience. When you start
Feel
working this
yourself
way, you
weak.
bring
It is
everything
your
back to the
rescue.
source. Every thought will be
Weak
brought
from the
back
inside.
to the source.
When
And
you stop
know
fighting,
nothing disappears in
when there is
spiritual.
no
All
longer
the
any
work you do,
resistance,
whatever
it has
work
to happen from the
through,
inside.
it is
Everything
all
takes
profit.
place within
You achieve more inner space. There
Text.
won't disappear a thing.
And
No,
this
by
will
working
bring
in
him
this
to the
way,
feeling in the
your
heart
earthly
that
strengths
he
won't
is in need of the Creator.
Won't be contrary.
Will
You will
open his
gain
eyes
a lot.
and heart,
Tests.
so now he can come in truth to his goal.
3, everything
to
is so
come in unity
confusing.
with
We are
him
speaking about
forever.
something what was already there before the world.
Read every word carefully.
And when it
First,
is in this
there
way,
is the
what is the
acceptation of
reality
the
we are
feeling
speaking
you
about?
have to
What
make
fills
yourself
the
weak for
highlight?
him. And
You have
this
to know,
has to come
it is all
from
about the world
with all
and
your
all
heart
and all the souls
You have to be
existing
aware of
already,
this.
and about the souls
Not saying,
who are waiting to
yes,
appear
I do.
in all their
Without
variety.
your heart,
Till the moment
this
they come
has to
to
come
their
from deep within.
eventually
You have to
correction
feel
too.
the
All of them
power,
are
the
enclosed in the
opposition,
endless
not
of the
only
Creator.
simple faith.
They exist in their
and
fullness and
think,
wholeness.
oh yes,
We
I will
can't
be
separate them
saved.
from the light. We only know their
When there
aspects
is no
or qualities.
preparation, when
We
you
only
have
can
done
distinguish
nothing,
two conditions
you
in this
won't
kind of
come
reality.
to the true faith.
1.
You
the
won't
form where
receive the
they
real
exist
strength.
forever.
It
in
has
all
to
their
come from
wholeness
your
and
heart.
fullness. 2.
The desire
the way
has to
they
be
are
felt deep inside of
reconstructed.
you.
How
Only
they come
then
down
the Creator
and make
will
themselves
notice you.
new after the first limitation in the world.
Who can do this work?
Adam Kadmon,
The one
Absolute,
who aren't Jewish,
Bria,
they
Yetzirah,
can
and
summon up
Asiya.
all their strength.
First, there was a
Not the
singular
Jewish
light
people.
filling the whole reality.
This has already
What
been
reality?
written in the holy books.
Light. But
Therefore,
this
what
all
is
before
happening
the
those
creation.
days, it is good.
What is
It
the
is
reality
already written
mentioned
in the
here?
holy books.
It looks
The
like
non-Jewish
an earthly
people
riddle,
will receive
but
the
this is
strength.
because
But first,
you don't have a
there
feeling
has to be the
for the
necessity.
spiritual yet.
And the Creator will
See it
open open
this
your
way.
eyes
The light
and
fills
brings you
everything. There are no
closer to
difference
His goal.
between height and low.
What is your goal?
No
To come in
differences
unity with
between
Him
creatures, but
forever.
about
What does this mean,
reality,
unity
about
forever
what
with
reality
the
can we
Creator?
talk? What is the reality
Then you
we're
can't
talking
sin.
about?
What is sin?
There was only light
Only
even
when you do
before the
something that
creation, and in
separates
this
you from
light
the
we see
Creator.
the roots.
You
The
sin when you
essence of
separate
everything,
yourself
what
from
will
the
be created
source of
from the
life.
beginning till the end
When
of time.
you have the
Everything
feeling
is
you
within
are
this light.
lonely,
And
you
this
are
light
separated
means
from the source
no
of
end.
life.
Can there be
Each
something that is
feeling of
ending? Is
loneliness
this possible?
means you are separated
It's hard to understand.
from the Creator.
I know this rises far above your imagination.
Don't think when you keep yourself
everything
busy
was
with the
there
spiritual, the
already.
feelings of
In
unpleasantness
essence,
will disappear.
You can compare.
You have to know this.
This
When you
with the
feel
seed of a
yourself
man.
lonely
all the
or
qualities
miserable,
of a newborn
you
child
already
are
have
there.
sinned.
Or the seed
Or in
of
other
a plant,
words,
an animal.
you are lonely
it only
because
has to
you are
be
without
sowed,
him.
and then all
Because
kinds
when
of
you are
plants
with
can
him,
grow,
there is
all
no feeling of
generations
loneliness
coming
or
from
self-pity.
this one seed.
Do you see the difference?
It is the same with the whole
Keep
reality.
yourself busy
Whatever will appear,
with the
all the
spiritual
pleasures,
means
all the
directing your
suffering, all
prayer
the
to
joy,
him,
it was
to
already
the
there
only
in the light
creating
of
strength.
creation. There is our
What is prayer?
first start of the light.
When you pray,
Later
you
we
have
will
a
see
feeling of
slowly
oneness.
all the
Why do you
coarsening
need
and
that feeling?
differentiation.
So now
it is
you
very
can come
thin.
to live
Slowly we will
in the
come to
moment.
the earthly material, the existing
There
of
is
man.
a momentum
And
of
when we
merging.
have arrived
You feel
in
you
this station, we
experience
will
the only
experience the
creating
deeper
strength.
layers of our inner.
In a way,
But
you
for
are
now,
on the
it is
same
far too
wavelength.
high.
You're merging together in the
That's
same
why it is
wavelength, and
so
then you will be
strange.
written
It is
in
if
the
it
book
is
of
still
life.
outside of me.
What is
Later,
the
step
book
by
of life?
step, you will experience
Don't
more
think
and more.
we are talking
all
about a
these
book
2,000 pages
as
are
we
about
have in the material
about
world.
every soul.
Feeling
who's
the
reading this. It
merging,
is
the
only
moment of
about
unity
you.
with the one
This
creating
story
strength,
is about your
that
soul.
is
It's
the
within
book
you.
of life.
All the changes are
When you
within you.
feel
Nothing is
alive,
outside you.
when you
and when
are
you come to the experience,
lonely,
you
you
will
have
feel
to.
the whole world.
When you are
within you.
lonely,
You will be the master.
you have gone too
and no
far.
God or something
You
you
have
believe
been
in
separated
will
too
control
far.
you.
And in this,
Now
we see
you may
already
have
the
the
world
feeling of a puppet on a
sin.
string, and indeed the
Separation
outer person
isn't good
as a
considering
puppet
the
on a
Creator.
string, a robot.
When you
With outside, we
have
mean
the
outside the
feeling of
spiritual work.
separation,
When
you have
read the
gone too
work
far.
outside,
Remember this.
no, we always
Ask
talk
the
about
Creator
the
for
spiritual
help
condition.
in time.
With the outer, we
Text.
mean someone who doesn't or who
In
hasn't
this, you will
worked on
come to the
himself yet.
recognition
He
all the
obeys
separations
the
you
Creator
had
and does
felt
do the
are
work
coming from the Creator.
wants him to do,
Not
but
because you weren't okay
not we.
or you
Why?
haven't the
Because
wish
the Creator doesn't
for it
have
to
to
overcome.
force us. When you
But
start
you have
working
to know
yourself,
the real
you
help
see
is
the
there
own creating
only for
strength within
them
you.
who has the
What
wish,
exists in this
the
world
real
is
wish
two
to come
persons, two
closer to
strengths,
Him.
but in a way it
He
is
won't
one
be
strength because
satisfied with
all of
little.
us are
He
coming
wants
from
everything,
His
and
one
it isn't His
strength.
wish.
Our
You stay as a
destination is
stubborn
from one
child.
root.
Therefore, the
compare it as with a
Creator
child.
helps you,
In each
so now
life,
you
there comes a
can't
moment
say there
to be
is
independent,
so
although
little
the
in the
connection with
Torah
the
and in the
parents will be there
prescriptions
forever.
and all the
We
good
too
deeds
have
I
an
did.
everlasting connection
But
with our
still,
Creator.
I'm missing
With this
something.
one strength, but we have to become
When you feel
independent,
pushed
therefore
away,
we have to make
know
some
it is
distance,
the Creator
separate.
who's working
This
with
is the
you.
only way
Not because He
to
wants
become
to
an
tease
adult.
you, but
And
for
with
you to come
adult,
closer
we
to
mean
Him.
to give.
Deep within us, there
When you
has to
start
be
to
the
give,
wish,
you have become a
this
grown-up
wish
person,
for to near
independent.
Him.
And when you
Then
have
He
reached
will
this
near
level, you
you.
connect yourself
There
with your
won't
Father.
come any help from
Only
above
now,
when
in a
there
very
wasn't
conscious
first the
way,
question,
not as a demanding
the wish
child.
from below.
You will see
Remember
Him as a
this.
partner.
Bring
in
this
work
in your
and
heart.
creation.
The greater
Enjoy
your
your
wish,
work.
the
Fulfill the
greater
work
the
of
merging with the
limitation with
Creator.
joy.
You
When
have
there
to
is no joy,
come to the
limitation will
experience.
be
There
as a
has to
heavy
be the
task.
engraving.
Now the
and
joy is a very
time
relevant
by
part of the
time
work
you will
you
learn
do.
on the exact
Therefore,
moment
feel
to
the
handle,
joy.
to cry out His name in time. Your prayer has to be on the right time. First, the Creator let you fall. He wants your heart completely. He doesn't take no for an answer or maybe. Therefore, can have the feeling the Creator is beating you. But what do you do with the moments of pleasure? Are you crying out for Him then? No. And the consequence is you are standing still. Remember this. Each time the Creator is showing us a little piece of our ego, our uncorrected part. So now you have the work to do. This is the work we have to do. What you are doing as a job for a living, it is for the outer being. And of course, this is necessarily too. But the inner work is the most important work you have. What is this work? Each time you have to make corrections from within. It is the instruction from above. Each person, no matter where he comes from, has to work on and with his inner. No person is free from his job. Be happy, and when you feel lonely, you have work to do. The Creator is there for you to help you with your corrections. When you run away, you won't reach the goal. All the unpleasantness is your rescue. He doesn't leave you behind as a little child, as some without knowledge. You feel shortness. How can you bear this? By making yourself small, tiny from within. And you are doing this only for Him, for the Creator. When you feel yourself strong, and He is strong too, what is happening? Two powerful strengths are coming together and they reject each other. The light can't come in, only by making yourself as a limestone. Do you still remember? Only when you are as wax, the light can enter. Who is the resisting one? Your own self-love. Your self-love closes your heart from the inner work. The one who are strong have the most resistance, and that's why they become ill. Why? For to break down the resistance, therefore, he receives the help from above. So now he can't say the Torah and the prescriptions and the good deeds are with the Creator, and he's lacking something. You receive all the help from above only when you feel one with the King. You will receive his strength, and he will lift you up. The only thing we have to do is to obey his laws. Therefore, we are learning the laws of this mighty King, the only creating strength, who lives forever. In a way, we are all participants of this one King. When you come to this understanding, to see and accept this, you will come to experience him. No one, the powerful he may be, can't escape this or deny this, but he, she, who is reading this, is far closer to the Creator. You are doing this on your own strength, but this is the wish of the Creator too. We are all servants of the Creator, but he who is working on himself has more freedom in his work. All those powerful people, the world leaders, they fulfill his wish as a blind person. They are as puppets on a string. But we are looking, searching for to come in contact with the creating strength. And this is what we experience, what we feel, the coming in conformity with the only creating strength. And we aren't longer wandering in this world. You are experiencing his strength, and you see his good. You can see the good in his strength because you are one with him, one with the creating strength. So now you can go everywhere because this feeling is within you. Wherever you go, you will feel the connection with him. This feeling comes from deep within you, and you know by making yourself small, tiny, you won't lose it. Don't judge about yourself. Let the Creator be your judge. When you give in the right way, you will receive tenfold. The next subject is Tes. This is an abbreviation for Talmud Eser HaSfirot, or the teaching of the 10 Sfirot. And we name this Tes. Tes is the teaching of the 10 Sfirot. Feel the radiation coming from this work. Tes consists of 16 parts, and this writing is a commentary on the three of lives, on the tree of life, the famous book of Ari, consisting of 2,000 pages. First, you have to become used to the language. The translation is literal, and when time goes by, you will come to the feeling. Tes is not a learning book, but a guide, a reference book to come to a better understanding of the Zohar. Therefore, we start with this book. The text of Ari is bolted. When you read these words of Ari, even without understanding, an enormous light will be coming to you when you make yourself small. Ask the Creator for understanding, because within the letters, the Creator is hiding himself. By reading the letters, scanning the letters, you draw the light to you. The Creator is light. Here you have the pure light, and nowhere else you will find this. Or Pnimi means the inner light, and the comment comes from Yehuda Ashlag. The bolded letters are from Ari, and the text is from Yehuda. Each Hebrew word has strength, and for Yehuda, Ari was his source. The first text. No, before the creatures were created, and creations were created, the singular high light filled the whole reality. There was no free place in the form of empty air and space, though everything was filled with the singular endless light, and there was no beginning or ending. Everything was soul, singular, fully homogeneous light, and the name is endless light, Ein Sof. Before the creation was created, the light filled the whole reality. First, there was only light, endless light, and this light filled everything. Then the light had a thought, the strength for to limit himself. Wherefore? For to create. When everything is light, how can the light create? This is only possible by limitation. First, there has to be the limitation, and then you can do something. This was the first act of the light, and we have to do the same. When you want something, first you have to limit yourself. Then you can go further, but first you have to create some space. This is the first thing we have to do, to make space. Everything what you learn and read about in the Kabbalah has nothing to do with time or place. Everything is spiritual. Don't try to understand. There's absolutely no understanding with your head. In a way, your head is the end. Your head is restricting you, and everything what we are learning in the Kabbalah is the teaching of the endlessness. because only what is endless can be grasped by way of endless too. Therefore, the head can't come to the understanding of the endless. We need the faith of belief beyond understanding, then we can come to understanding. It has to go beyond your understanding, beyond your earthly understanding. When a person starts to build up the spiritual within him, we should see around the head an aura. Every person has an aura. Look at the old paintings or other portrayals. This light of the aura has to come within you, and when this happens, already small corrections have taken place. This aura is hanging around the head of every soul, and we have to bring this light to within. This light of this aura has to come within you, and as long as it hasn't entered you, are still sitting in the past. You don't live in the now. Of course, you are trying hard, but only when you make place for this light, the surrounding light. Every person has. Then it can enter you. You have to make place for it to receive this light. But because of your ego, and the ego says to you, be strong, then you say, I am, I. And then the aura, the light says, or the light stays outside you. Each person has this light, the aura around him. It is very thin, and by reading this text and all the spiritual work you do, the surrounding light enters you. The more you let the light come in, the light of the aura will lessen. Why? You already have the light taken in. This is your act of creation, considering yourself. Your aura is floating around you only because you don't let the aura come in. And this is due to your self-love, due to your earthly stubbornness. You don't have place for your true I. The great Kabbalists had the light brought in. They could live in the now. They could experience the Creator. They could speak with the Creator. They don't need to incarnate. They are ready. When they are coming back, it isn't for them. We will learn this too. The hour is yours, but you don't experience it yet. But because of the listening, the reading, step by step, it will be taken in. By way of your spiritual work you are doing right now. Then you two merge together with the light. What is the merging we are talking about? It is the feeling you are together with the Creator. Then there is no awareness of time or place in this world anymore. Ari is speaking to us from this place. The great Yehuda speaks to us from the man who had taken in the whole aura already. And we are people where the aura is hanging outside. We are listening with our aura outside of us, and he is speaking to us from his perspective. That is to say, from the aura that is within already. He was ready. He didn't feel time or place anymore, but could see from there. When you work from within to the outside, meaning you have correct yourself from within, you too can take in the light from the outside. Then we too feel there are no time or places, but only the consciousness of the now. So by reading these texts, your aura will be taken in. Your aura, not the aura of your neighbor or partner. In the spiritual, there are no dilutions, no changes. All the changes we are speaking about doesn't mean the first condition disappears and receives another form. Nothing disappears in the spiritual, and this means when you experience something and later you have another experience, you have to know the first experience is still there. All your experiences always exist. You are changing by way of your spiritual work. You will go forwards, but the first experience still exists. What was before you started always stays in existing. This is in contrary with our earthly thinking. We think when we move a thing, it is gone from the place wherefrom we had taken it away, but not in the spiritual. There is no disappearing in the spiritual. Therefore, when you start to work on yourself, you won't lose a thing. You will receive more extra. Slowly, this thought has to be brought in your heart. Step by step, you have to make place for new thoughts, another pattern of thinking. The first time you're reading this, there will be no understanding at all. But by reading and rereading, and with the wish in your heart, this will help you. Then you too will come to the experience. But you have to remember this. There is no disappearing in the spiritual. All changes are extra. Each experience is very precious, stays forever in existing. You're only adding more and more and more. Nothing disappears. When we talk about changes in the Kabbalah, we mean something has been added. You don't have to be afraid you will lose something of yourself. Every wish, every expectation you have will stay, will always exist. No one can take this away from you. It is the common person who is afraid of something will be taken away from him. Nothing will be taken away from you, only adding, only more and more experiencing. You will come to see the real person who you really are. A new, sixth feeling will come in developing within yourself, a feeling for the spiritual, and no one else can give you this. It wasn't given to you by birth. This is something you have to develop by way of your experiencing. Each one of us has to bring this in developing. Changes in Kabbalah means you have received new additional conditions, but the first original conditions have changed. All the changes and extras, the first original conditions haven't changed. All the changes and extras are only in the material, not in the spiritual. But although we aren't in the spiritual, we can experience certain elements. All your inner movements are like a prototype of the spiritual. It is only embedded with material embeddings. And this is very hard to understand for them who are just starting with the real spiritual work. It is Ari who is warning us. It is hard in the beginning, therefore we have to overcome. A new observation has to grow in ourselves so a new opening can be made. And this new opening gives us the chance to experience in a new way. What was before will now be experienced in another way. First, we are occupied only with techniques and all kind of terms. This is our limitation in the beginning. We are here in the material world, sitting in time and place, and this we have to overcome. You have to know, a Kabbalist is talking about the spiritual, but he uses earthly terms, but they are only symbols. They are clues from above, from the spiritual roots. All words we use like Abraham did this and that, the speaking about Jews. When we hear the word Jew, we think about the Jewish people living in our world, but the Torah doesn't speak about these earthly Jews. Also, the New Testament doesn't speak about persons in flesh and blood, only about spiritual ideas. It is you who has to come to the understanding. You have to find the meaning behind the words. The light comes, the light descends, but the light never moves. It isn't about your religion, not the religion you have been growing up with. This only limits you. You have to come to faith by way of understanding, by way of experience. Only then the light can enter you. Try to experience every sentence you read. Read again, read slowly, and feel. Experience the words deep from within. You have to work hard. Again and again you have to work very hard. Try to come to understanding. And the doing. Every effort you give gives you extra light. Read the concepts, reread them, then you will come to understanding. This is learning. Don't go further if you haven't come to the understanding of the first text. Repeat the names, the words, let them enter you. Why? This is the building up of your kelim. This is the forming within you of new awareness, organs. And this will happen by rereading the text again and again. Be patient. This is very special.